Hello and welcome. You're listening to Desynced Nerds, a Nintendo Switch podcast. This is episode 38, airing on Monday, the 25th of June. We're your hosts. I'm Colin. He's Devon, bringing you all the latest news and hot topics from around the internet. This week we have hackers, piracy, and cranky developers. But first, Devon, Weekend Gaming, what you been doing?
Let's try to break up this sadness and anger parade that is this show with some happiness. I was so down while writing the notes. I'm just like, this is all really bad news. There's nothing good here. But it got better. Anyway, yeah, so this week I played Mario Tennis. That's basically it. I need to go back and play the Splatoon thing, but I still haven't yet. So, well, I don't know.
I almost said the Octopath. The Octolings?
Yes, the Octopath. I need to finish the Octopath thing as well, because, I'm on summer break, but I'm not really playing my Switch because reasons. I did actually, this is actually show related, I got all of my dock stuff set up, or ready, to set it up in my room at my desk, so now I can actually play it at my computer.
What's the holdup there?
Laziness. I got the HDMI cord. I needed 2 extra HDMI cords as of last night, and I got those 12 hours ago, so yeah, I gotta set that up. But yeah,
I love it, and I've never looked back.
Yeah, I know. And that's yeah. I think that I'll play it more when it's right here in front of me and not on the couch, so. Yeah, I played Mario Tennis. I still don't know how I feel about Mario Tennis in a big way, but we'll get there eventually. What did you play? Did you actually play something?
I did. I played a lot of something. I've played a lot of Battle Chasers Night War. I can't even say it. I've played it so much. That game, oh my god. I didn't expect to love it. I just expected to, kind of derp through it, kind of enjoy it. I now find myself wanting to go back and look up the source material for it because, oh my god, I'm in love with this game. I cannot believe how much I'm in love with this game. I've already changed my Twitter banner. I've changed my Discord icons. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Is that what that is?
This game right now. That is, yeah. It's one of the characters.
I saw that earlier today, and I was just like, "What? What is that? What did he change his icon to? I don't even know."
It was somebody else earlier today. Now it's this guy because I like this guy more.
I couldn't even tell.
It's full of character. I love it. The animations are great. Everything looks great. The art style is probably my favorite art style of all time. It's like American anime. I don't even really know how to describe it. It's not quite Western comic books, but it's not quite anime. It's weird. I love it. I cannot get enough of it.
So what you're saying is I'm gonna have to play this game.
I don't think you'll enjoy it. It's got a lot of flaws. A lot of flaws that I'm not exactly sure why I'm overlooking as easily as I am, but I will New Game Plus this game 110%. Yeah. And I don't do that.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. That's a big statement. How have I not been hearing about this all week? I feel like you've not mentioned this at all in...
I have. I've brought it up to you constantly. You've just tuned me out because you're tired of hearing about it.
All right, that's definitely not a thing I would ever do. I don't know what you're talking about with that. Oh, he locked up. Oh, awesome. Yay! I don't know if it's his Discord or his internet. Okay, well, I will start off with the news. Actually, no. Oh, he's back.
Am I back?
We're going to do some editing to make this not sound terrible, but yeah, go ahead and hit that first news article.
On to the news. Super Smash branded GameCube controllers are available to pre-order.
Yeah, so they are currently $29.99 on Amazon. They don't have a release date set, and they currently show December 31st as Amazon does. But supposedly, we're going to get those before the actual Smash release. I mean, that would make the most sense. But yeah, so if you missed that last week, the adapter is $20, the controller is obviously $30, and I heard that there's a bundle for $110 with a game, the adapter, and a single controller. I don't remember where that was from, probably GameStop, but I don't remember exactly where that was from. So that's all there if you want it. And again, as we've talked about, it's not for either of us, but it's definitely... I know there are people that are very, very excited about this. So,
let's move on.
I was going to ask you how many you have pre-ordered. How many controllers do you have pre-ordered? That's a fat 4, just for those watching the or listening to the audio.
Literally all of them. Let's move on. There is a new Splatoon stage announced, and also playable. Question mark.
That's a bad lead-in. This was actually the first thing that I hit when I was talking about the like just downer news cycle at the start of the show. So there was a team of hackers that were playing ranked league and just forcing this map into the game. And yeah, there's a whole YouTube video where you can watch the whole match play if you want. And this gives me such conflicted feelings because I'm the first person to like argue for it's my console, I'll do what I want with it kind of thing. Like that's who I am at my core. This is my personal property that I spent $200 on. Like I'm gonna do what I want with it. But then these people come out and they make me feel like
when you start messing with ranked play, that's where I draw the line. If that was just like free play or normal games, who cares? But if that's in ranked play, that's not okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even agree with it in free play. Like, my line is messing with other people's experience. That's where it starts to bother me. So, all I'm saying is you're wrong.
I would have loved to have gotten this in a normal game. In a ranked game, I would have been livid. But in a normal game, I'd have been like, "Oh, this is sweet. Whoever this guy is, he's my new hero."
In any case, so my big concern about this is that we know that Nintendo is being very what's the right word? They're not being super particular in how they ban for this sort of stuff, as we'll get to a little bit later, actually, in the next news article. And so I would mostly be afraid of the collateral damage that this kind of causes. So, but yeah, with that, lead us into the next one, huh?
With that, all right. Game piracy has started, but Nintendo has a robust system to hinder it.
So the idea here is that they have. I'm going to hand wave this, but basically there's a very unique like serial number for every game card that you can't forge. You can't say my serial number is actually this other serial number for your game cart. And then when someone hacks on that game cart or it gets posted somewhere or it's obviously a pirated copy, Nintendo can then ban that serial number and no one can ever use it again. So then, of course, when somebody else downloads that same card and runs it, they then get banned. So it's a cool system until you think about buying one of these pre-owned. Because, yeah, exactly. As soon as you buy a pre-owned game that's been banned, you just get banned for turning it on. Like, and I don't really know what the workaround is for that. I mean, don't buy pre-owned, I guess.
I feel like I was watching a video on this, and I feel like they decided that it was just the cartridge and not the console that got banned.
Well, no. I'm saying that if I bought a Splatoon copy that got it uploaded to wherever, and then I ran that Splatoon copy, that would get my console banned.
Yeah, and I was reading that the console doesn't actually get banned. That was like a miscommunication. It's just the cartridge. So really, you're only out that cartridge. Like they just ban carts, not consoles.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100% no.
I mean, I lost all my news articles that had more information about this, or else I would have more information, so I'm not bitter.
My source is Spawnwave on that, and he was a little confused because there's a lot of conflicting information right now about this particular thing.
Yeah, I mean, because Nintendo's not going to come out and say, don't buy a pirated game, because otherwise they're just going to ban you, or not ban you, as the case may be. So yeah, this is a thing, and this was again step 2 on the this week sucks, everything's awful. So who knows? In any case, if you buy a used game, you should definitely have them put it on a
dummy Switch first.
Yeah, exactly. See them run it online just in case, until further information comes out. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get more information about this as the weeks go on. Surprisingly, the Switch hackers are fairly verbose and communicative in terms of what they say. The first time I heard about this, it was from the guy who was like the big name in the Switch hacking community that was like trying to set all this stuff up, and he was like, yeah, it's possible to get your console banned for this kind of thing. So they are speaking out. But yeah, do we have good news?
All right, let's move on. No, we don't. We still don't. Hold on. Square Enix tries to calm fan dreams about DQXI.
That's right. I forgot about this. So all of these quotes are from producer. Oh, I didn't give this one to you. Hokuto Okamoto. Yeah.
Sure.
Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Anyway, so he says, we're making it, ... We're still making it. I can't say anymore. He goes on to say, when we first announced Dragon Quest XI, the Switch hadn't even come out yet, and the development kits also weren't finalized. The hardware specs weren't out yet, but we were like, we can manage this. We can put this out on the Switch, which I'm just going to stop right there and, what? What? You haven't seen the console. You haven't seen the development kit. You don't know what the hardware specs are. We can put our game out on this console. Like, Nintendo is known to run a generation behind or so in power. Like, I just don't. I don't know why you would look at the new Nintendo console and think, oh yeah, it doesn't. We don't care how it actually works. We'll fix it. We'll put it on there. Like,
I wish I was that confident about anything in my life.
Right? Not to mention something that is like, it's a known unknown quantity. We know that Nintendo does weird things with their hardware. Like, what? It's just. Anyway, okay. So moving on. He also finally goes on to say that there's no telling when they'll be done with it, because there are lots of things that need to be taken care of. And then finally...
Wait, are we talking about DQ11 or are we talking about Kingdom Hearts? I mean, Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry. Which one is this one?
Are you trying to make a point here? Are you trying to say that...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to say that Square is terrible at this kind of thing. Anyway, keep going.
And then they wrap up by saying that through a translator, he asked him to ask the interviewer to stop asking about Dragon Quest XI, which I've never seen something like that put into a news article. Like, shut up, kid, we're done talking about this, like, let's move on. Normally they just let it go. They don't actually comment on it, but and I can't. There's a part of me that thinks that the interview was just kind of being a jerk, and he was just like, hey, so what but no, really, no, tell me about the Switch version. No, but what about the Switch version? Like, I kind of feel like that's what was going on in order to get this kind
He's probably just tired of answering these dang questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's also fair. Maybe put out the game that you promised before it was released, and you won't have these problems.
Again, Square Enix. So
I mean,
I can name two right now off the top of my head that I really want. I have pre-ordered. I've had them pre-ordered for 72 years now.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts has only been announced since, what is that? My early middle school, 6th grade? What is that? 10 years? That's over 10 years, isn't it?
That's math. Don't hit yourself.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so Square Enix is not good at this. Now we have good news. Okay, tell me about some good news.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 got announced release date. What is it, Devin?
It is September 25th, which, if you remember, you talked about this last show. Your old...
Yeah. It was originally October 16th, I want to say. And then it got pushed back on Amazon to a placeholder date of the 31st, which it still says, by the way. But then we were just in the dark for a little while. But now we know, September 25th. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a company come out and release it early.
Yeah, and normally they just hold off. It also has some cool... Well, I say some cool pre-order stuff. It has a controller skin for the medic dog. So the, like, Saint Bernard with the keg on his neck thing. No? Is not that what it was?
That's a Shiba, dude. That's a Shiba.
I know dogs. Come on. I have
Your wallpaper's a bunch of Shibas.
You don't know that. Okay, fine.
I do.
Anyway, let's just glaze over my dumbness. So yeah, that's the thing that comes in it. And I'm curious what you think of that. Are you going to put that on your controllers?
I like simple and clean and like
neon blue.
I barely even put a case on my phone. Like, I'm not about that.
But the
Jasmine loves it because it's a Shiba.
You should definitely. You need to buy her a Switch, and then you need to give her the sticker, and then. What's wrong? What's wrong with this plan? At what point is this wrong?
No, it's actually genius.
Okay, well, Dunzo, do it.
I was gonna say though, like this weekend, I hate that my Switch was blue and red, so I just bought 2 blue Joy-Cons so that my Switch is just one color now because it was driving me crazy. I would have bought the gray one, but they didn't have them when I was buying mine. So
what about the yellow ones though?
So that's what I really went in for, but I couldn't find them anywhere, and I was too tired of looking at red and blue.
You just deal with it. All right, so that's the thing. And you're excited.
Yeah, we ready to move on? I think we're ready to move on. let's stop getting sidetracked, Devon. Game Freak director, oh god, Junichi Masuda, that was actually pretty easy, throws shade at the Joy-Con rumble.
I feel like with a lot of these Japanese names, you look at it and it's like, oh god, how do I say? Okay, no, this is just sound it out. Just go through the syllables. It's not bad. Anyway, yeah. So he threw some shade at the Joy-Con rumble, and I just thought this was dumb and it needed to go in here just because it was such a like nonsensical thing to say. It's like, yeah. So he says that the rumble in the Pokeball Plus is considerably superior to the Joy-Cons, which, given that Nintendo has kind of lauded these as like
HD rumble.
Yeah, that's they have their own special word for it and everything. Like it's this fancy thing to them. So for them to come out and say and be like, "Oh no, ours is better. Don't look at their stuff. Ours is so much better." It's silly to me. He goes on to say that it's not about the spherical shape, but about the components inside. Which, I mean, isn't that just like
I've used that line too.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, tell me about Square Enix again.
Yeah, because we're not done with this company just yet. Square Enix is still working to make Final Fantasy XIV a Switch reality.
So you know more about this than me, so I'm just going to read these quotes and let you take it away. So
sounds good.
Producer.
Can't even say the English word before it.
Producer Naoki Yoshida wants people to have as many ways to play as possible. He goes on to say that discussions are still ongoing with all three publishers, and he hopes to announce something soon. Hit me.
Okay, so I remember reading that he was super adamant about they had to all be crossplay or he wouldn't do it. And so while looking up that article, I found June 22nd of last year, a whole year ago, he says that he conversations have been had with Mr. Phil Spencer of Microsoft and upper management of teams of Nintendo, but I've proposed a condition every time I speak with any platform manufacturers. It's that the game has to have compatibility of cross-platform play. And then again, recently on, I got this from Geek Culture, but I've seen it in other places as well. He goes on to say basically the same thing, that he wants to release it for all of them. He doesn't want to fracture the player base, and he will only release it for all of them if they can all agree. I'm looking at you, PlayStation, to let him cross-platform it.
Okay.
But then he says, I may have some news soon. So that's maybe he's buttered Sony up for the last year. Who knows?
I just want to take a moment to appreciate that holding Switch players hostage because Sony won't play ball is the most asinine, ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, how are you going to...
This won't be just a Switch thing too. Like Xbox doesn't have this right now either. So it'd be a Switch and Xbox because PC and PS4 right now play. I mean, I suppose you could do Xbox and Switch, but again, with fracturing the player base, he doesn't want to do that. So he like you said, he's holding him hostage.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. Like that's exactly what Sony wants in this whole like system is they want other platforms to be inferior because they refuse to play ball. And I think that's just
greedy.
Yeah, I can't verbalize how gross that is as a like consumer rights kind of person that I am. Like it just And the worst part is if this Kingdom Hearts bundle PS4 comes up, I will probably buy it. Like that, and that's the worst thing to me is that like.
I was just gonna say they know what they're doing. Like it's lucrative business practice. It's scummy business practice, but it's lucrative business practice. You can't play the Final Fantasy VII remake or Kingdom Hearts on anything else, and they know that. So, yeah. Honestly, I sold back a bunch of games at GameStop this weekend, and I was shocked to see that Final Fantasy 15 was on Xbox One. I had no idea Sony allowed that to happen. So, I don't know. Maybe they're coming around slowly, but with all this Fortnite news, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're not making any progress. There was some other things that I didn't include just because it was too Sony focused, but yeah, they're continuing to just not care.
I'm ready to drop everything and just adopt games only that come to the Switch, but I really want those games that are on the friggin' PlayStation.
Yep.
But anyway, let's move on to games that are not on only the PlayStation. Demon X Machina producer Kenicho Sukuda. I hate you. I'll take my hits where you give them to me, but I hate you. The producer on the attention to detail in their game. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so he specifically started off with the very heavily saturated color palette. They've got a lot of like really bright reds, really bright yellows, oranges, these really like vibrant colors. And he specifically calls out that those are kind of there to create that emotion. Like the this tendency to move towards this very like saturated, or not saturated, like a sepia tone browns and blacks and just sadness that we've moved is something that bothers him. And he thinks that the saturated color palette specifically is really good to kind of evoke emotion and evoke feelings of these levels and to kind of code the feeling that you're supposed to have with the level, which I think is a great idea. Like I would love to see more vibrant, more colorful. I mean, I'm on here every week. I talk about how beautiful Splatoon is, and it's really mostly about the colors palette that they use. That it's just so bright and colorful, and that so to see this kind of thing expand out into not, Nintendo is pretty amazing. He also goes on to talk about the sound specifically of the game, which okay, so I acknowledge that this is cool, but I can't make myself actually excited about it because of my own personal tastes in music. So he says, beyond the very, very recognizable metal focus in the music, like if you were watching that direct at 9 a.m, it starts with just metal blaring in your ears. That was reasonable. Anyway, that song is actually in the game as well. So despite beyond the metal focus, the sound effects are all oriented around that same theme. He specifically called out there's a gun that when you shoot it sounds like a drum, and then there's a sword that as you hit people it makes guitar sounds. And the feeling he wanted people to pull from it is that it's like a jam session, it's a bunch of dudes hanging out playing instruments together. And he wouldn't go on to explicitly, like he very staunchly refused to comment on any kind of like multiplayer comments at that point, but it seems implied. So
there was a section where like there's in your base is a landing pad for 4 mechs, and one mech is definitely yours, and he implied that the other 3 landing pads were for your buddies mechs.
That's so funny to me that he's like playing coy with it after like heavily suggesting, but no, I won't say it. Nope. Like, I don't know. That's silly, but game developers do what game developers do. Oh.
I mean, I guess that's like you can backpedal in the future, like, we couldn't get that feature out, so no, we never said there was going to be multiplayer. No, those are for your other mechs, dude.
Yeah, and honestly,
that's what those platforms are.
I think that's probably a really good take in that it's a lot better to say no, we never said that than it is to say that thing we sold you on is not actually in the game. Sorry. Like that's how you get.
It's a bad look.
Yeah, exactly. It's how you piss off the consumers. So I don't know. Does the vibrant color palette, does the music stuff, does any of that like grab you anymore? As I know you're already pretty into this game, eh?
I've already pre-ordered it. It's I mean, it's whatever. I found the music was okay. I found the color palette to be a little bit too washy, personally, but I mean, it's whatever. That's what the game wants. That's what they think is best. Then I'll play it and either agree or disagree.
This is when I talk about Smash and I say I don't care about the stages, I don't care about the characters because I'm playing the game. You're in the same boat with like okay.
Yeah, well, because for me it's about scratching that Gundam, Metal Gear, or not Metal Gear. What is it?
Armored Core.
Armored Core. Yeah, because I played Armored Core on PS1. I put so many hours in that, and this is some of the Armored Core team, so I cannot wait to play this. The palette's a little bit but whatever. I don't like every single game's appearance, so like oh my god, Xenoblade Chronicles. It's like playing a potato. Anyway, let's move on. EA talks cross-platform support for FIFA 19.
And they get very candid. So this is a trend that I'm noticing. People are more and more willing to throw Sony under the bus and just say, I mean, if that's going to be the bottleneck for literally everybody at some point. Yeah. So the long story, or the short story here, is that there will be no cross-platform support for FIFA. And then creative director Matt Pryor was talking to Eurogamer, and he said, it is something we've looked at and something we often talk about, but there are a lot of issues to work through. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. Laughs. There are a lot of issues to work through with various first parties. I don't really know how you take that, except Sony's being Sony. And then he goes on to say, Fortnite does that now with PC to consoles. From a consumer standpoint, it makes the community that much broader, which makes it that much more compelling. So, again, my takeaway is Sony's being Sony. They want it. They understand that consumers want it, but when the biggest market in the world right now is saying no, if you do this, you don't get on our system, they're gonna have to accept it, and that's just life. So, the only people that are actually like financially harmed by not doing crossplay isn't even Sony, and that's to me the worst part. Like this is 100% like the games people are the people that are getting hurt by this. It's the consumers, it is the game developers, it is the publishers. But Sony's actually going to see no pain from this until it crescendos into enough of a backlash that they lose their place in the market. So,
I mean, for me, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, the second that Square stops putting literally everything on there, I'm out. I don't want to be part of that. I'd rather support the American company, even though I'm Canadian. I'd rather support the console that I actually enjoy playing, the Switch, but Sony won't let me because friggin' Final Fantasy
and Kingdom Hearts.
And well, I mean, yeah, by extension, yeah. Disney's not Sony's only, so
fair enough. But also Dragon Quest, fight me.
Whatever. Let's move on. Ubisoft talks about Mario plus Rabbids and the future of the series. Is there a 2?
We'll get there. And I'm playing it about as coy as they did in the interview, so I'll let that be a spoiler. Originally, the Mario Rabbids DK DLC started out as like this. It was a very small piece of content. It targeted a 2 to 3 hour experience. This is all before the game had actually released. And then the game got, like, it just did gangbusters. It was wildly loved, and so people really loved it. And then at that point, it's like they've been given a blank check to just, here's some dev time. So the content exploded to almost half the size of the game. They clock it at a little under 10 hours of content, which to me seems a little surprising that they're only clocking the whole game at around 20 hours. Is that about in line with your experience?
That sounds about fair, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that game was so short. I mean, I guess that's not even that short. I'm just being... It's an SRPG, so...
Relatively speaking, it's fairly short, but like compared to like I was going to say a Call of Duty, but that's a multiplayer focused game. It is relatively short, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the content size. They specifically intended to create a new feel for the game. There was a full rework for the combat system. If you look at the interview that I have linked in the show notes, he actually specifically calls out that the programmers were panicking as he was kind of pitching the expansion to them, because they were just like, oh god, we're going to have to redo everything. And as a programmer, that is so much fun when your boss comes to you and says that. And then, okay, so here's a direct quote. When asked about the future of the series, David Soliani had this to say. We still have loads of ideas. We used about 1/10 of our ideas, but now the DLC is done. What can I say is we are working out for the future, and there's a long pause here. Who knows? We need time to work on something which makes sense. We're taking the time to see how it goes. You need time to think what you can do to bring something new for players. So, yeah, he wants to, but can't say that is what I take from here.
I mean, it's money. He needs money. He wants to, but he needs money.
They don't need money. That's the thing.
I mean, you don't know how much of that money went back to his division, his department, and how much of that went straight to Ubisoft. That he needs a new budget, so that he can do it again. He sounds like he really wants to.
Yeah, if you watch they've done a few interviews actually about this, and they don't seem like people that are just coming off of a really long crunch time. They seem like they're having fun with it, and they're enjoying talking about the game, and they're happy with what it did. And I mean, again, everything that I see about this game is that it was super successful. It's very popular. It did really well. The idea that this crossover even exists is in itself its own success. So that's actually been one of my favorite things, is going through these news articles and like reading. I knew that we had Miyamoto when I showed him this, and I saw his response to this, and at that moment I knew we had it. It was just, I don't know, that kind of thing is fun for me. So definitely check those out. It's a lot of interviews about this game. You'll absolutely pre-order 2 when 2 gets announced, eh?
Yeah, totally. I'm as soon as I beat Battle Chasers, I'm gonna go back to probably even before Wolfenstein. I'll probably finish out that DK and then I'll do Wolfenstein, and then I'll do Octopath. Man, the rest of my year is already booked.
You've got the whole year worth of games picked out. I mean,
Oh my god! And then I have Fighters, and then I have Valkyria Chronicles in September.
Smash.
And then there's also some dork I know made me buy Monster Hunter in September as well.
Which is its own monster of a game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have time for Smash when that comes out. Whenever it comes out, I'm not gonna have time for Kingdom Hearts when that comes out in January.
January 28, 2020, right?
2022. Don't be ridiculous.
Fair enough. And now that we've gotten so far off track.
As usual. Splatoon 2 producer isn't worried about online's effects on the game.
Oh wow, I mangled that headline. Specifically talking about the Switch Online paid thing. You're supposed to read my mind and know what I was trying to say, and
I like how the immediate sentence afterwards was also a train wreck. let's just power right through this station.
Specifically, he says, and this is a direct quote. This is a very poor translation. I'm reading the quote as I got it. We think it will have some sort of influence, but we want to use the addition of Switch Online to redouble our commitments to the community. Okay, never mind. I edited that very heavily. So I feel like this is a bit of a naive take. I think that all online games are going to see a fairly significant drop off when this happens. It's anytime you take something that was previously free and you start charging for it, you're going to see a lot of backlash. That's just life. People don't like it when you take things away from them. So
is the general reception sour about this though? I feel like with the very little that I've seen, people aren't actually that upset about that.
I get the impression that people are annoyed, but not so much they're not going to participate. In terms of like, I mean, I'm of course talking about like core gamers here. I'm not talking about little Timmy who got one for Christmas last year. Like anyone who posts on the Nintendo Switch Reddit is probably going to buy it, just because if you care enough to post on the Reddit, you care enough to pay for the online, especially given that it's basically free.
So what you're saying is I won't have any more 6-year-olds in my Splatoon 2 games. So I'll either never win again, or I'll win every game again. I don't know what that actually means yet for me.
I mean, you're one potato and 3 non-6-year-olds versus 4 non-6-year-olds, so I think that the math does not favor you there.
I'm going to stick to Battle Chasers.
Stick to nice PvE games where you can continue to win. Anyway, he goes on to say that there are no plans for further single-player premium releases. They do, however, continue to plan... Wow, speaking of train wrecks. There are plans for continued free updates to the multiplayer. So we know currently right now through December that we're getting we're going to get continued updates. He doesn't go on to say whether or not this is going to expand past December, but he did explicitly call out that was one of their things that they were going to take from the Switch Online edition, is that they were going to use it to funnel more time and energy into the updates. So I'm hoping that means they push that sunset out longer, because I'm enjoying my time with it. And then he finally wraps up by saying, we are not saying no to the possibility. Okay, this one is not my fault. This is just the quote. We're not saying no to the possibility that we'll ever consider releasing some paid I'm going to just rephrase this. They're not saying no to premium multiplayer content, but they do want to maintain the even playing field for everyone. And that's potentially terrifying. I don't know. I don't love paid DLC for online, for like multiplayer stuff, especially for something like Splatoon. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You got thoughts?
I have no thoughts. I don't know what to think. This is one of those things that it just sounds like a lot of dev speak, and until I see what it actually means in the actual game, I have no opinion, because I don't know what any of this actually means.
That's fair. And now onto something that you do have lots of opinions about.
I'm gonna try to keep myself in check. I've had a little applesauce, so I'm okay. Pokemon Company CEO Ishihara says, "Please trust us regarding Pokemon Let's Go."
That was deftly done. I'm just gonna call you out for skipping the whole name.
Keep going. Just keep going. That's the only part that matters. Just keep going.
Fair enough. From an interview with Famitsu, he says, amongst those who have played the game, there may be some who feel like it has changed. Because yes, it's changed pretty heavily. I think we're all on the same page there. However, we've actually been continuously changing the formula for the game since the beginning, and in the end, the players have accepted those changes. Go on, hit me. You got some thoughts.
I mean,
the game's been changing this whole time.
The very last generation. I didn't play any Sun and Moon because I hated the changes they were making. Also, like, everything I've seen says you have to look at this game like it's a spin-off because it's not at all like a mainline Pokemon game. This isn't Gen 8. This is Gen nothing. This is console Pogo. So it's like it's crazy to me that he's trying to connect the two gens even after spending all E3 saying that they're not connected. I'm so confused by what he means there. And like these changes, there have been no crazy changes. I think the craziest change they've done in the last 20 years is adding Mega Evolutions. What is he talking about, these changes? They've made like QOL updates. They've not made any real changes to the formula.
No, but now you can do double battles, and this makes it a whole different game. Oh, wait.
They introduced double battles in Gold and Silver. Like that was... Like they've only added tiny things, and then all of a sudden we've got this literal spin-off game. And oh no, it's just changes. We've been doing this all along. Not like this, you haven't. What are you talking about?
Maybe, okay, here's actually a valid question. Maybe he is talking about all the spin-offs, and that is what he means by the changes, like stuff like Coliseum and help me, what other spin-offs are there?
And Quest and Stadium. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And Pokemon Ranger. I'm cool with a spin-off. Treat it like a spin-off. Call it a spin-off. Just don't tell me it's a minor change from the formula. It's not. It's very similar, like in appearance, looking outwards, looking in. That's why everybody's so mad about it. But it's not Gen 8. It's not even Gen 7.5. It's a spin-off.
I think, and that is the kind of the key that, because we were talking about this a little bit before the show, and that is the big problem with all of this, is the messaging, is that depending on what interview you read and with who it is, you'll get a completely different impression on what this actually is. Sometimes he says, it's only for Pogo players. This is the Pokemon for Pogo players, and those are the only people we care about. And at other times he's saying, as we'll get to in a second, this is for everybody. Like, and with that,
the original message was it was for Pogo players who've never played a mainline game who want to transition from mobile, which is Nintendo's brand new strategy they just invented. Take you from a mobile game to a console setting. And so this is their Pokemon version of that. And also we're going to make it yellow because that was the original. So if we're bringing Pogo players in, we want it to be the original game again. And also the old crowd will enjoy that it's yellow. That was why it's yellow again. I don't know if you put it in here, but there's also some... Yeah, you did. Okay, so I'll let you keep going.
Okay. So
it's the last thing, but...
It was kind of an afterthought. Anyway, moving along to the next. It says, along those lines, this time we are also changing things around. So again, yeah. But that's part of the long-standing tradition of Game Freak and the Pokemon series. We won't make mistakes with the basics, so please trust us. I almost feel like that last sentence actually should have been its own bullet point. I should have let you hit the first sentence first. Because we won't make mistakes with the basics, so please trust us.
Except they threw the basics out the window and kind of... It's like they're making Pokemon Ranger. Don't worry, we won't screw the basics. Also, to catch Pokemon, you have to draw circles around them. But no, don't worry, the basics are fine. They recently had a Twitter poll where they were like, "What do you want us to change about Pokemon Let's Go?" And it was like overwhelmingly return to the basics. But that's people are missing the point of Let's Go, I think. And then this last bit is the real reason I wanted to talk about, or real thing I want to talk about.
But see, you say people are missing the point of Let's Go, but it sounds to me like Mr. Ishihara is missing the point of Let's Go. Like,
I'm thinking he might be too. So they're just really confused. It's like the Wii U all over again. They don't know what to tell us, and so they're just confusing all of us, and we're all just getting angry nerd status.
I mean, I'm good with angry nerd status. This is my bread and butter, so don't take this from me. I feel like to him, we won't make mistakes with the basics means that it's very core. You capture and collect Pokemon and you battle people. Like that to him is the basics. And I think that that's too reductive for what we're looking at. To me, the basics are the JRPG mechanics. All of the JRPG mechanics. And maybe that's where part of this confusion is coming from, is that we're all defining that differently and it's just not translating well because of that. So.
maybe this is regionist of me to say, but like the Japanese have very, very, very frequently and yeah, frequently said that like the way that they develop their games is the best way for their games to be played. Your opinion is mostly invalid. They don't care what you think because we're crafting the perfect experience. Whether you agree with it or not is your fault.
It's on you to recognize our genius. Yeah. All right. Are we going to move on to the next quote with that?
Yes, this is the big one for me.
Okay. No, I'm reading the wrong sentence. As I mentioned before, we want this to be the game that people play after Pokemon Go. So since the Pokemon... What is with these quotes? So since the Pokemon from Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow, he calls out Green, appear in Pokemon Go as well, this seemed like a good choice. Based on these things, we decided that Pokemon Yellow would be the perfect choice. Do you want the next sentence in there as well?
Yeah, just throw that in there too so I can tear it all apart.
Eevee has been popular since it can evolve in various ways, and that's why Eevee is one of the two whatchamafaces.
Two starters. Well,
Thank you.
The real reason Eevee's the second starter is because Gary starts with Eevee in Yellow, and Gary changes his... Like, he evolves it based on your team in early interactions. But Gary's not in this game, but Eevee still made it back in, so whatever. I had Eevee pre-ordered instead of Pikachu because I'm tired of Pikachu. But then I found you're not allowed to evolve the Eevee. You're not allowed to change him. So he has to stay Eevee the whole time.
Let's just take this character that has these changes that we can make, and that's why it's so popular according to the president. And then we're going to take out why it makes it what made it so popular over the years. Like,
yeah, I was salty. I was super excited to have like my favorite Eevee evolution hang out on my back all the time, but that's not a thing. Okay, I mean, you can dump it and get the one from, oh god, sell it on City and just evolve that. But that's not my starter. No, stupid. But going back to the previous quote,
the actual meaty quote and not the throwaway.
I mean, he referenced green because blue wasn't a thing in Japan, and green wasn't a thing here.
I didn't know blue wasn't a thing.
No, it was green in Japan, blue here, because they figured that blue would market better than green would.
Okay.
Yeah, look, it's the same game. Blue and green are the same game, just the cartridge was changed, and the Blastoise instead of Venusaur. He referenced it because it's the base game. But anyway, that's why they made Fire Red and Leaf Green and not, I don't know, Water Blue. But anyway, yeah, that goes back to the other thing where they want Pogo to bring you into a console experience. And yeah, so they just remade Kanto for the umpteenth time, as you said. But again, they want this to be the original experience again for new players. So that was the original experience for all of us who are fans now. Except for you, because you came in at like Gen 3, right?
No, I played the first one.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well.
Yeah. I seriously, I was like a dumb kid that didn't understand games when I was playing the first one, but I remember...
Have you changed at all?
I'm now a dumb adult that doesn't understand games. Okay, so there's a very important distinction.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember getting stuck in the teleporter dungeon of the.
You talking about Sabrina's gym?
No, it wasn't Sabrina's gym, but it was in that same city. It was the Sliff Rocket Co.
Oh yeah. Sliff Co.
There you go. Thank you. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. This feels to me like that kind of weird. On one hand, we're playing on nostalgia, but on the other hand, we're also trying to make this a new experience for people, and it feels like
they're trying to do both things at once. Yes,
and
it's genius if they talk about it correctly, which they're so not. It's not meant to be a reboot. It's meant to be a spin-off that looks kind of like a reboot to hook Pogo players and also people who love Yellow, like me. But that's not at all what they're saying. Yeah. They don't even know what they're saying. Every time they say something, it's wildly different than what they said originally and E3 and even since. So,
and that to me is the big issue here, is that their messaging is just terrible, and it's not, they have no idea what they're trying to say, so. But with that,
it's calling Pokemon Quest the mainline game. It's just what? Anyway, yeah, let's move on. Cat Quest news. What do we got for Cat Quest? And why are we talking about Cat Quest?
Mainly because I'm still just trying to get you to play it. That's and I know that this might be the thing that pushes you over, maybe. So Cat Quest 1, Cat Quest 2 recently got announced, but Cat Quest 1 is getting a physical release. It's coming out on the 7th of September for the EU and the 11th of September in NA, which is maybe not the best date choice. September 11th, maybe? I don't know. But also, what is the shenanigans that the EU gets it first? That's unacceptable. Americans always get it first. Everybody knows this.
Except Japan's always first. What?
Yeah, that's fair. And with Cat Quest, that makes sense too. So, but yeah, so this is a thing. I'm trying really hard to get you to play this. That's really all that I'm.
I already told you I'm booked through the year. Like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm booked even like into next year.
Yeah, that's fair. Given this is like Monster Hunter time, I should probably just shut up and be happy you're playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, you should.
All right, fair enough.
Oh my god, please don't make me say this. Why don't you read this? Because I don't want to get hung out to dry for this. You read this one in.
All right, so we are on Smash Brothers Port Watch 2018, and guess what, everybody? It's a port. In Sakurai's weekly Famitsu column, he wrote, "First, I was faced with a decision: create a completely new game system or build off of a pre-existing one." So you get that? We could either port an existing game system, or we could build a new one from scratch. These are the decisions he's given. Turning to the quote, "I went with the latter." For those who've got lost in my rant there, that's build off of pre-existing ones. Take the old system and move it in. Again, returning to the quote, "Had I not, we might have ended with only a third of the fighters we have now. Some people might still end up preferring an earlier title, but I decided to put that thought aside for later and focus on more important tasks at hand." He chose to take the old version of the game and update it with a big patch. Why?
Let me ask you a question. Hold on. Pause. Hit pause. So I know for a fact every year that EA makes a new NHL, Madden, FIFA, all of that. They take the core of their previous game and they tweak and add to it, and of course update rosters and make it look better every year. And then they put it out again next year. And sometimes they add like NHL is 3-on-3 now, or now they have like a Winter Classic where you play outside. Do you consider every iteration, 17, 18, 19, all of those ports?
I will say that with yearly games like NHL and stuff like that, they're kind of in their own class because they're very clear. They are definitely versions of each other.
They're definitely port-like.
Yeah, they're port-like. They're not strictly a port, but also they're not strictly a brand new game.
So would you argue, or would you buy the argument that this is a port light or port-like, not actually a port?
I think that it's different because I say so and you're wrong, shut up.
And because they made such a big deal about it not being important.
Yeah, at this point I'm really just playing devil's advocate. I'm still bitter about that one kid who basically implied I was an idiot for saying otherwise. Like, but yeah, I think that it's fair to categorize iterative games like that, games that are known to be iterative, as their own kind of thing. I don't know. Neither here nor there. That was its own thing, and I think it's hilarious still. And again, at me, at Kulana on Twitter. Give me your hot takes. Tell me I'm dumb.
I tell you that every day.
Fair enough. Yeah, but now I want randos to do it because I need your hate. It fuels me. The other important part of the quote that I thought was funny was he specifically calls out that he thinks that people would prefer an earlier title because their favorite character wasn't in. And maybe I'm just doing that proximity bias thing where this is what I think and so this is what everybody thinks, but the people that I know that prefer Melee to 4 and to Brawl and to Ultimate prefer Melee because of its mechanics, not because of its characters. They don't actually really care about the characters. I mean, the characters are the characters, but like Mewtwo King comes from Melee and doesn't play Mewtwo in the new versions because he doesn't really care about Mewtwo. He's in it for the mechanics. Sorry, Wushu. Hit me.
I was just gonna say Melee plays slower than the rest and has less flashy visuals than the rest. It's almost a completely different game. Yeah, and that's why they prefer it.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the characters. And I mean, again, that might be because I see the competitive scene and that's what I pay attention to. And there are hordes of casuals who only care about their favorite. I mean, I know there are hordes of casuals that only care about their favorite character, but
Link is bae.
But which one? Okay, there are 3.
Actually, he killed my favorite Link, so I've been playing the OG hookshot Link, and now he's not in the game anymore.
It's because Link's not had a hookshot since what, 98, 99? When did Majora's Mask come out?
You want to fight? No, it was always Ocarina Link. Now Ocarina Link is just gone. Now I guess Kid Link is still basically Ocarina Link. Fight me.
I'm just saying. The times are changing, Grandpa. Get with them.
Let me just shake my fist at my screen.
Yeah.
You ready to move on? Can we move on? Let's move on. Okay.
It's a port. It's a port.
Speaking of ports, Octopath's producer and director sat down for an interview.
Okay.
It's a port of the demo, Devin. Come on.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They did start the game based on the code that was in the demo, so that makes perfect sense. Give me your emails. I want to feel your rage. Talking about Octopath, though, they start off talking about the tone of the game, and we touched on this a little bit when we first played it. How it was a little like, I think it threw us both for a loop. Because the whole Primrose section, which is what they specifically call out, is very
mature.
Yeah, and it's not there's not a thick layer there either. It doesn't take much thinking to get to the mature layer. So I was really shocked with the level of adult themes that were there. They specifically call out. I don't want to call them out. They call it the themes of abuse and trafficking. We'll go with and how that's a big section of, or a big like component of what she is and her character and her story. And I don't really know what to say besides I love this. I love that this is life. I mean, this less so, of course, but all of these like adult takes are life. This is where we exist, and to kind of hide them away, to me, makes the stories, these like story-driven games feel less genuine, less honest, because they're painting this very colorful, washed out version that doesn't actually exist of the world that we're in. And so to see them kind of take a more honest take is, to me, makes the game so much more compelling. They actually specifically call out that they wanted to take a medieval world and show the realities that people would see, which, I mean, again, with Primrose, I mean, some of it's a little silly. As I said, I've done the merchant bit, and it's like, it's this poor merchant town, but there's these pirates that come stealing from them, and it's just like, it's a very feel-good version of that story, but it's still, we're getting destroyed by bandits, we're all gonna starve to death kind of thing. Like, that's still the underlying theme, and that, to me... And
there's another, the apothecary is trying to save a town from like a plague, basically.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's nifty.
And Ulbrich, or whatever his name is, I can never get it right.
Oh, yeah!
He's seeking revenge, like Nintendo's no longer just for little kids anymore. That's what this really means. That's what this and Dark Souls and Wolfenstein, that's what this new era of Nintendo means. It's not just for children.
Well, actually, we'll get there in just a second. Hold on, they actually addressed that.
Oh.
Yeah, no, there was a news article about that. Anyway, they also wanted to talk about how they very firmly planted their feet in both ends of the classic versus modern kind of eras. The art style is very, very, very clearly a 2D JRPG. That was very much so a big thing. But then they kind of twist it up with this 2.5 DHD remix, whatever they're actually calling it. I don't remember what they're calling it. Where everything is kind of fancy and cool looking. And it actually does look really cool. They go on to talk about the battle system is the same way, where it's got that it's rooted in classic JRPG battles, but then they kind of twist it up with, as you've said, the bravery default kind of features. And that kind of freshens it up for old fans. So the idea there is to, there are people that are both people like me that have been playing JRPGs since, God, I was 8 when I first played Dragon Quest. And then to people like my little brother who's never actually put in time into a JRPG. So
I got a hot quote for you real quick about from the Game Informer that they put out. They had a interview with one of that same producer. I'm not going to even try to say his name. About the art style. And he said specifically, we didn't want this to ever tip too much in a direction of fantasy and be in a place where people couldn't associate with it in terms of like the way it looked and with the storylines in it. And he said he said that they originally had like a 2D look, like everything was just sprite based, but he thought when they took a step back from it, they thought it was too done and it looked too fake. So that's where they came up with this 2.5D look. And they said that they iterated on this a bajillion times until they found this. And they were like, oh yeah, that's it.
And I mean, they're right. This is it. This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I cannot believe that they were able to do that with how they did that. Like, there's nothing crazy there, but it's the application of it that makes it really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually, that's a perfect perfect summation of what they did. But with that, the story that you unintentionally hinted at.
Okay. Nintendo plans to orient the 3DS towards a lower age demographic.
Yeah, so they're actually like they straight up put out calls to developers to say, we want this to be the lower age demo device. Bring us your games that are targeted at lower aged people. And that's what
Pokemon is aimed at lower ages. So where is that line? Is that line at like 7, 8? Is that where Pokemon it hits?
I think that the line there is that Pokemon will literally sell Switches. And that's, I mean,
no, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
So, what I took away from this is that as they're catering the 3DS more towards the younger audience, they're very, very clearly willing to push the envelope, not even just for Nintendo, just for the world at large, for their on the Switch games. Like, these are very mature themes. We're seeing very mature games. We're seeing stuff that is it gives a very adult take on video gaming, which just thank God. Thank God that Nintendo has moved into that era, just because it makes me so.
And I think if that's the future of the 3DS, then I'm fine with it. You can keep it. I did not like it when I thought it was going to take games away from my Switch. Because again, I don't want anything on any other console anymore. Just Switch. That's all I want.
Just pick one.
Shut up, Sony.
Just let me have Kingdom Hearts
on my Switch and 7.
And 7, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's basically the long and short of it. They're orienting the 3DS towards the lower age demo, so the Switch is getting the older age demo, and that's awesome.
Speaking of lower age demos, Mario Kart 8 is now Labo compatible. You like my segues? I'm getting really good at them.
So good at segues. So yeah, this was a very, very late piece of breaking news. I think you posted this to me, or you sent this to me at 6:35 when we supposed to start at 6:30.
And I got it because I just happened to look at YouTube, and Nintendo just posts stuff on their YouTube at night.
Because why wouldn't they just post that randomly at 6 o'clock on a Monday night?
Monday night.
Yeah. So yeah, on to the story. Mario Kart 8 is now Labo compatible. So if you bought the variety kit, it comes with it's like bike handles that you can rev, and there's a brake bar and stuff. It's I don't know how bikes work. Motorcycle, not bike. I don't know how motor devices work. Like I show the guy my piece of paper that has my name on it, and then I get on the vehicle, and then I sit down, and that's how I do motorized vehicles. Anyway, so yeah, they posted a video of someone playing Mario Kart 8 totally through Labo with those the bike handles, and then there's an update available for Mario Kart available now to utilize that, and just a slightly related note, one of the 1-2 Switch mini games is now also available on Labo, which I don't know. I both respect that they're trying to make Labo more mainstream appreciated, but also I'm never going to buy it, so I just can't make myself care, and that's just where I'm at with that. Like,
yeah, it's cool that they didn't. I'm glad they didn't, but it's not for me.
Yeah. It's cool for the people that care, but that's not either of us.
It's like GameCube controllers for the Switch. Yeah, wow, cool, whatever.
We'll talk about it because we do, but yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final piece of news. Okami HD has some good and some bad news. What do we got? Only give me the good news, though. Delete the bad news.
The Japanese version has an English option.
Boom. All right, we're done.
Which makes literally no sense. Why do we care without the bad news? So the special edition isn't coming to the States. There's rumors that the physical edition isn't coming, but I didn't see that. Was what you saw?
That's what I saw too, yeah. Physical is not coming here.
Yeah, so we're getting a heavily limited release, but if you care, the Japanese import's there. And you should care because the Japanese import of the special edition is super cool. And if you don't care about Japanese on all of the special edition stuff, it's worth importing, I think. So, I mean, I'll probably get this digital just because I don't like screwing with Amazon JP. It's just annoying to me, but
I've done it twice, and it's been actually really, really easy both times. So I'll do it again for this. Absolutely.
except for the like 3. Isn't there like a really long ship time on this? No?
It's actually not that bad. What you really pay for is what you really suffer is the paying. Like you pay extra. I bought I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere, and I paid $20 extra for both of those titles to get them here from Japan. So
Jeez.
what is a $60 game turns into an $80 game, and if it's a special edition with extra stuff, plus $20, now it's yours.
That's hefty.
So that's kind of rough, but if you want it physical, you want it physical.
Yeah. I mean, we keep saying that if you want physical games, you should probably be okay with paying a physical tax and
yeah,
one more piece of
absolutely.
that. So, but with that, on to the question of the time period. Our question is, how did you feel about the E3 presentation from Nintendo? Now, the options are, it is 10 out of 10 amazing, it was okay, it could have been better, and finally, I hated everything about it. What is Nintendo thinking? And you can have your voice heard there at bit.ly/dsnpoll37 or on the Discord. Additionally, at the Discord, don't just tell us in the Discord, do both. Or you can have your voice heard and have a discussion. I mean, we've given our thoughts on this. It was out in the last show? Yeah, last show, because last show was 37. So, oh, watching you try to fix this in the show, that's amazing.
I'm the best.
And with that about wraps us up for tonight. If you want to email the show, you can do so at desyncednerds@gmail.com. If you prefer Twitter, you can tweet at the show at desyncednerds, or at either of us individually. I am at Kulana, Kullanah, and he is at DSN Colin, DSNCOLIN. If you want to support the show, we are on Patreon at patreon.com/desyncednerds. If you want to support the show non-monetarily, you can rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher. Also subscribe on iTunes, that's important. You can also catch us every Monday at 6:30 PST, 9:30 EST, and I feel like I should stop saying the UK time, and at 2:30 UK AM on the following Tuesday in the UK. All of these can be found at twitch.tv/desyncednerds. All of our VODs will be up on YouTube after the fact at the channel is Desynced Nerds. And finally, leave my pronunciation alone. Finally, we're on Discord at bit.ly/DSNDiscord, DSNDISCORD. Thanks for listening, everybody.
I'm gonna win.